All right, so we're here another day, and I have a little notebook with ideas that I sometimes use to jot down subjects that I want to talk about. And one of them kind of came to me today, not randomly, but more circumstantially. Everything right now in the world socially seems to be gatekept to some degree. The situation was recently I try to be more social. It's nice out, at least where I'm at. And I wanted to take up pickleball, the millennial sport of the decade, I guess. And I tried it, I liked it. And so I wanted to look in my local area where there could be pickleball courts, right? Because I had tried it in a different city in the metropolitan area I'm in. But I wanted to see in my local neighborhood if there was courts, and then also potentially take my mom to play, see what that would be like. And I'm looking around, and I find that this local neighborhood court has its own pickleball league. Okay, fair enough. And they have their own courts. Okay, really close to me. All right. And then they say it's for members only. And I go, okay, first of all, if it's built near in a park-like situation, I'm expecting that local tax dollars went into that. I don't think it was a united effort of all the pickleball members. But I went and looked on the website, and I clicked on join our pickleball or membership, and it said right now we're at capacity, and the waiting list is at capacity. So yeah, that's it. Waiting list is now closed. This link is closed until further notice. And I go, you assholes. All right. So, and the thing is, why are you gatekeeping the pickleball? Guess what? I'm gonna show up at the fucking pickleball. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna show up, and I'm gonna play. And I don't think that that's an enforceable thing to get me removed from the court that was funded. I know it sounds kind of like a petty thing, but it's part of a larger issue that I feel is happening in the world, or at least in the Western world, is that everything becomes gatekept to a degree. You have or hidden behind some sort of paywall, which is still a version of gatekeeping. It's just informational, monetary gatekeeping, but it's still gatekeeping, where some just entity or some group of people decide, yeah, we're not gonna let you in the special club unless you say the right thing or you pay us the right monetary fee. This extends to a lot of different things. I'm not saying it's just about a recreational pickleball league. It's sad that it's gotten to that level, but look at your varying levels that you, or the varying tiers that you have for your Amazon or your Netflix account, right? Remember when Netflix was, you paid your baseline fee and then you had access to everything, and then they started doing the whole structured thing. Well, if you want multiple accounts, you have to pay more. If you want to not see advertisements, you have to pay more. Just this creeping kind of ominous leviathan of monetary gain and but it's not just corporations, but it's just like this mentality, this how do I say it? This mind virus is a good way of putting it, of just gatekeeping that pervades every field. Jobs are probably one of the most gatekept things. You may not realize it, but most people get their jobs how? Usually through networking, right? Usually you know a guy, or know a girl who knows a guy, right? So it's kind of this hand-holding, handshaking, behind closed doors type of deal. But you, on the outside, you are continually put in a situation where you're on the outside, you, the outsider. You knock on the door, you have the qualifications, you do the dog and pony show of an interview, and yet it will go to an internal candidate. Not always, but a lot of times it does. Or it goes to the person who was recommended, right? So that's a gatekept thing. And and so it goes, right? To quote Kurt Vonnegut's novel, I just finished Slaughterhouse-Five today. It's a very, very good novel, side note. But it does seem that way too much is gatekept. And now we take it back to some of the fields that I work in as an actor. That's all gatekeeping. That's That's multi-tiers of gatekeeping. You want to be anywhere close to some sort of Hollywood A-lister or to a degree B-list actor, there's major gatekeeping there. There are so many wonderful actors, so many wonderful writers that don't really ever get their chance because someone's niece, someone's nephew, someone's son or daughter was able to get that slot. Now, does that mean you shouldn't try? No, you should always try. This is not meant to give you any sense of hopelessness in this particular video. This is just an observation as to how pervasive that behavior has become. But in the acting world, for sure, there's tons of gatekeeping. And of course, one of the biggest facets of knowing if something is gatekept is by the sheer amount of nepotism that you see in a given field, right? So the less nepotism you see, there's less gatekeeping. The more nepotism you see, that's tremendous amounts. And in the entertainment industry, there's so much nepotism. Just look up your favorite Hollywood actors, and you'll see, if you look up the family tree, who they were related to and how. Now, that whole infrastructure is crumbling, thankfully, and I can do another video on that another time. So that infrastructure is crumbling. To give hope to anybody who might be watching this who wants to be in that field. It's not worth it to be in Hollywood either. But it's just another example of, if you know the right people, it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? And there's always going to be some measure of that. But it's surprising that it extends so pervasively into so many different fields. And I think it's taken advantage of to an extreme degree through advertising, right? Just as I've said, the earlier example being your Netflix membership. If you want to watch content that is not pushed with flush with advertisements, and advertisements that are pushed at you every 10 minutes, you're going to have to pay. YouTube, this channel is not monetized at the moment. But if you want the YouTube experience as it was in 2008, right, or 2010, you're going to have to pay. It's going to be gatekept otherwise. YouTube Premium, baby. It's a joke. It's kind of silly how much that's like. And it happens a lot. It happens to a major degree. Case in point. And I love books. And again, I will do another little one about books in the future. But this is a copy. I haven't read this yet. White Noise by Don DeLillo. Nothing wrong with the book necessarily, but right here it has, I don't know if it'll come into camera or focus, but it'll say, now a major motion picture. Now that's not so abrasive, but I've seen other covers where it'll show like the Netflix symbol, right? And I'm sure if corporate advertisers were able to get away with putting extra pages with a bulletin board or an advertisement in the middle of the pages, they sure shit would. But they don't have it yet, but they probably would if they could. And who would have thought that Netflix themselves would have commercials? I think that was one of the first things that they said, oh, no commercials with streaming, and now we have it. But there's this just behavior that encourages people to capitalize on everyone else around them. Or hoard their knowledge. How many influencers do you know that you see on Instagram that want to advertise themselves as being a guru of some sort of arcane secret knowledge? Thus, they will say, join me on Patreon, or join me for this, get this special course, and you'll get exclusive content that I'm going to gatekeep. I don't blame someone for wanting to make a dollar to enrich their lives or the lives of those around them. But there's somewhat of a limit, right? And gatekeeping culture along with tipping culture go hand in hand. It's very annoying when you go to a Dutch Brothers or go to a coffee shop and you ask for perhaps an Americano, a black coffee. That's what I typically like to drink. And they turn the screen around and say, would you like to leave a tip today? I know there's an element of discomfort in rejecting anybody, but eventually you reach a certain threshold of annoyance that it's exhilarating and kind of a thrill to just look the barista dead in the eye and say, no. Or just, while you're looking at them, press that 0% no tip screen and see the reaction. But what the gatekeeping does, or what the tipping culture does, is it creates this sense of entitlement, right? The sense of, well, I got mine, why you owe me. Watch them bristle when you don't give a tip, or when you show up at the pickleball court. I'll keep you updated on that. There's this weird sense of, you violated my space, or you violated the perceived social contract when there was none. And I think what a lot of this comes down to is we've lost a sense of national and community identity. So people will gravitate towards brand identity or hobby identity, right? And this is, again, possibly another video, but to touch on that point, I love different hobbies. I love to salsa dance. I love to country line dance. I like to jiu-jitsu. But when you go into these different communities, you meet people who, maybe you meet them along their journey at the beginning or the middle, whatever it is, and then maybe you take a break for a few months and you come back and you see that same person. And now a massive, if not the totality of their identity, is that hobby. They are the country dancer. They made an Instagram where all they do is put dancing on. They are the jiu-jitsu fanatic. They are the pickleball queen, right? Something in them has shifted so that they needed to fill a vacuum within them. And this hobby came along. And I don't begrudge anyone who enjoys hobbies. Obviously, I enjoy hobbies. But it's now something that they feel they are qualified to give advice on, or that they are just the best at, and that's part of who they are. They are the dancer, the actor, the writer, as opposed to Craig or whoever, insert random name of your friend here. I don't really have any friends named Craig, so it seemed like a safe name to use. This is just something I think, again, pervasive in society that we see. And then ultimately what will happen a lot of times with the person in those hobbies will be that they feel emboldened and empowered once they've had X number of months or years under their belt to start gatekeeping the knowledge for new people. They will feel, first of all, perhaps entitled in the sense of not wanting to dance with the new person, not wanting to play or to spar or to act across from the newbie because it would bring them down. There's a perceived sense of entitlement and elitism about keeping company with someone who is less qualified than you, and it speaks to that somewhat human characteristic of looking down on someone perceived as less experienced than you in some regard. But it's weird. It's weird, but I think it stems from a lack of identity. It stems from maybe a lack of community, right? You find one community, you're so starved for it, you latch on to it, and maybe you don't have maybe these people don't have a very good social network or work life or family life, so they cling to the one thing that gives them a sense of purpose, and that becomes a massive amount of their identity, oftentimes to their detriment, because they look like an asshole. So don't gatekeep, or try to be cognizant of it when you can. I don't know. Just an observation, random facts, and thoughts. Leave a comment.